In today's video, I would like to share 4 books that helped me to work so much more smartly and effectively as a UX designer. I would recommend them to anyone who's serious about pursuing a career in product design. They're short, easy to read, and I still refer back to them after many years in the industry. And if it's the first time you watch my video, hello, my name is Wei Wei and I work as a design lead in a tech consultancy. Follow my channel if you're also interested in topics like product design and personal growth. The first book is The Elements of User Experience by Jess James Garrett. What I truly enjoy about this book is that it offers a timeless framework to look at the whole product design process. By following this, you can avoid very costly design mistakes, and it's a great read for even someone new to the industry. So let's take a look at the framework. It stretches over 5 different levels. Start with the strategy level. This is all about why should we build this product? Who is it for? And most importantly, why do they even care? If we're not very clear about the business objectives and what user needs the product's fulfilling, then it's probably doomed to fail from the very beginning. So the second level is scope, and your strategy will directly inform what kind of features goes into the scope. For instance, if you're building a product that's like educational digital product for students, then you know that you need the content to be more like bite-sized with infographic. You probably even want to introduce video content that's like TikTok format that engages their attention. So the scope will provide a boundary around what feature will build for your product. The third level is structure. Loosely speaking, we have 2 types of products. The first one is information based, like a website. The second type is function based, more like an app that helps you to accomplish a task. For the information based product, we are talking more about information architecture at the structural level. And for the function based product, we're mostly talking about designing the user flows. So the last 2 levels are skeleton and surface, basically referring to the specific page design, such as the wireframes. How do you lay out the pages, key sections? Where does the button go? That's the skeleton of the page. And surface is basically the final finishing. You are polishing up the page into a pixel perfect design with the final brand colors and imageries, etc. So as we move from the first level to the fifth, you can see how it progresses from more abstract, like the strategy level, to more and more concrete levels. If you want to become a senior designer, it's important to pay more attention to the upper level, such as the strategy and scope more. Not to say that the surface is not important, but I mean, that's usually what people focus on when they think about product design. But what senior designers do well is that they will make sure that the product strategy is aligned with every single level of the product. The second book is Designing with the Mind in Mind by Jeff Johnson. This isn't just another UX book, it's like getting a direct line to how your user's brain works. A simple example on how to design accessible colors. One smart shortcut is to put your design into grayscale and see if the colors still look distinctive. So in this case, even though the chart colors looks distinctive to an average user, users with color blindness may have issues reading the chart. So reading this book will give you a good grasp on how our visual system, our memory, and our cognitive processes work, and you can then use that knowledge to do great design. Another example is when we design a process flow. The book explains that our brain tend to forget the closing task once we finish the main goal, and that's just how our short-term memory works. If you had ever forgotten to bring your umbrella home when the rain stopped, or you left your oven on after having finished baking something, you know what I mean. So that's why you want to design a feature to let the oven beep after it's been left on for a while. And we also see this principle being applied in a lot of the process design examples, such as reminding the users about peripheral tasks after they finish the onboarding process, What makes this book incredibly valuable is that it doesn't just tell you what design patterns work, but also why it works at a cognitive level. The third book is Getting Things Done by David Allen. I actually have a physical copy of this book, but it's really old already. So, what it is about? Let me read directly from the book. It's possible for a person to have an overwhelming number of things to do and still function productively with a clear head and a positive sense of relaxed control. Sounds almost too good to be true. Um, I've based my personal productivity system on the framework this book introduced, and it's not an exaggeration to say that it's changed my life for the better. It has set out an entire process for organizing your to dos, but I'm just gonna share two biggest takeaways. The first one is that what prevents most people from being productive is that we are very vague in our next actions. Therefore, the pending item is still just an open loop that consumes our energy. For instance, writing down Dad's birthday as a reminder is almost useless because your brain still needs to figure out like what it means later. Instead, when you're noting down this item, if you could just spend 2 minutes to think about what you actually want to do. Let's say that you've already decided you want to buy him a present instead of throwing him a party this year. So, is buying him a present the next step? Well, not exactly because you haven't really figured out what to buy for him. So, maybe I should put searching online for a suitable present, but wait, how about just asking him what he needs recently? Okay, so noting it down as asking him what he needs recently, and there you go. That's the action item that will go into the system. The second takeaway is that even for projects that you know could span over the course of a month or even years, can also be managed within such a system. The key again is just to define your next step in a very explicit way. And of course, to revisit your project plan periodically to define the following steps. This keeps your mind free from the weight of undefined work, which is what truly drains our energy. The fourth book I want to recommend is Sprint by Google, and it perfectly complements the other books we have discussed so far with its strong emphasis on prototyping and testing. This book is all about action. You can come up with a design concept and test it all within 5 days. Sprint was developed by Google Ventures as a versatile process to answer any business question or design hypothesis in just a 5 day time frame. Here's how it works. Day one, you map out the question, define your problem statement, and identify the critical assumption to test, essentially finding the weakest link in your current product design. It can be big questions like, is this product idea viable? Or smaller things like, what should the medical report feature look like? Day two, everyone sketches potential solutions, putting pen to paper. Day three, the team makes decisions, selecting the strongest design direction and fleshing out the selected design into a full user flow. Day four, you build a prototype quickly. Day five, you test with real users and gather immediate feedback. It might sound like Mission Impossible, but the book provides fascinating case studies showing how effective this approach could be. For instance, a team decided to test a hotel delivery robot concept. Now, this may be commonplace now, but we're talking about like over 10 years ago. So the team wasn't so sure how people would react to it. Like, would the guests find this creepy? Would people prefer to stay at this hotel because of the robot? Using the sprint method, they built a prototype quickly and tested with real hotel guests. And people loved the idea. This framework is invaluable for testing high risk product assumptions before investing thousands of hours of development time. What I really like about this book is also that it equipped me with the essential skills of a facilitator. Actually, a lot of the activities described in this book are a perfect example of workshop design. For instance, how you are guiding your teammates to use Crazy 8 to come up with sketches and then use dot voting to converge on the most promising ideas. If you're someone who aspires to build great product, facilitation skills are crucial to pick up. So there you go. Those are all the books I recommend in this episode. covering the end-to-end product development process, design principles, and how to do all this in the most productive way. Thanks so much for your time. And if you are still sticking around, you probably enjoy this video as well, talking about how to present your design like a pro. See you next time.